And now, would you please give a warm round of applause for a piece by my friend, John Agassill.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it's been a long day and a long trial, so I promise to keep my closing argument brief. My clients are no angels. You certainly wouldn't find them on the top of a Christmas tree. But nor should you find them guilty of the crimes that they are accused of today. Do they have criminal records? Yes. Are they known to the criminal underworld? Yes. But despite me saying the word criminal twice, should you find them guilty of the crime that they are accused of today? No. Put yourself in their shoes. You have a criminal record. You can't get a job. You have no money. You can't pay rent. You're on the streets. You have no permanent address. You can't open a bank account. You've been rejected by society. So you think, actually, you know what? I'm going to reject society as well. See how they like it. And you turn to a life of crime. Rejecting society's conventions, its laws. Yeah? I'm talking about the past. I'm talking about their past, not this current trial. I put it to you that they are actually the victims here. Victims of circumstance, victims of a broken system, of a capitalist society and the prison industrial complex. The only crime that they're guilty of is being American. This sketch is set in America. The only crime... the only crime they're guilty of is being American. And if that's against the law, this is my final case. On the night in question, forced to do what they had to survive, they were homeless, cold, out of luck. So they approached 671 Lincoln Boulevard, a suburb in a wealthy area of Chicago, and asked if they could, get some shelter just for a few hours out of the cold. The hardest thing to do, swallow your pride and ask for help. But instead of the kindness of strangers, they were met with an onslaught of violence by a child, a boy home alone. Burns on the palms of their hands, shards of glass in the soles of their feet, shot in the face with an air rifle, struck in the face with an iron, covered in glue and feathers, which, although not painful, would have been unpleasant. Their heads set on fire with a blowtorch, multiple head injuries from being hit with cans full of paint. And last but not least, Marvin was electrocuted and traumatized to the extent where you heard, he said, under oath, that he turned into a skeleton. Does a skeleton pose a legitimate threat to a child? Does a skeleton pose a legitimate threat to a child? Does a skeleton pose a legitimate threat to a child? Don't answer me. These are the sorts of questions you will be discussing in your deliberations. Yes, they have admitted and boasted about flooding several houses in the Chicago area on purpose, but you must ignore that fact and act without prejudice. In fact, instead of talking about Harold, instead of talking about Marvin, I think we need to talk about Kevin. The young man who, when he took the witness stand, yes, he was charming, yes, he was funny, he was very quick, very quick. I'll admit it. Where did this child learn this language of violence? What sort of home did he come from? What sort of parents did he have? I'll tell you, the sort of parents who can travel to an airport board a flight to Paris, order a drink, maybe order a couple of drinks, until they are mid-air and remember that they have left their youngest child at home. I believe it is the mother who should be here on trial today, charged with neglect. But there are two sides to every story, more than that. Remember, we heard from the witnesses as well. A young pizza delivery boy who said that he heard the voices of two men in the house, two, in his words, gangster voices, one Snakes and one Johnny, arguing about money. And then he heard gunshots from within the house. Are those not the two men that we should be looking for? Are those not the two men that should be here today? And then the only witness who was in the country at the time in defence of the young boy was, let's be honest, a haunting spectre of an old man who, I heard, murdered his whole family back in 58. Allegedly. Is that a credible witness? He brought his shovel into the courtroom. So that is why today I am asking you to deliver a verdict of not guilty. Thank you very much. Have a lovely Christmas, everyone.